we hear like a lot of stuff. I mean, Pat done heard it. I've heard it too. But like, just Darrell Green, like him playing until he was 40 years old and him being athletic. But
That's
I've heard a
crazy.
lot of times, man, that the reason why he played so long is just how cerebral he was. And I've even heard stories just as far as like Darrell Green could tell what play was going to happen just by how the tackle set his foot. Like, could you kind of like expand on that? Just like what would you say, like from him teaching you, like what's something that stuck with you, and then what do you think made him who he was? Obviously, we know he was fast, athletic, but just from like the mental aspect of the game, like kind of expand on that.
Well, what's funny is I never really bought into that stuff because for me it didn't work for me. I could try to get tails off stuff like that. Every now and then you see a guy's foot up on film and you could tell which way they're gonna break. There was always little stuff like that you get from certain guys. But I never really bought into that. I bought into the physical aspect that he was teaching me more than anything. But the reason he played so well to me, it wasn't just that. It was more he was a track guy. So the way
Hmm.
he warmed up and the way he stayed on top of his body, like he never really pulled a lot of muscles, even though he was the fastest guy on the field. So I used to try to keep up with him during his warm up. I'm like, man, I'm tired. Like you tire me out before the game. So I stopped doing it. Everything ain't for everybody. So, but he's going through drills. I mean, he's doing all kinds of stuff before the game even start because that's how track guys warm up. And I've seen that after being a track guy at Georgia. I knew exactly what it took, to get warmed up for the 60 or the 100. Like those guys go through a whole regimen. I was just never that guy. Although I did it, I didn't want to warm up like that. So he was like that all the way to his final game. Like you got to think, I saw his last 4 years of his career. The dude was still fast, like could move. And if you've seen him lately, he can still move today. Like it's
60
unreal.
years old
Yeah,
running the football.
60 some years old and can run. Like the
Yeah.
dude, he's just one of those, man. He never thought he'd play football in the league, but he was a late first round pick, and it was really based off his speed and toughness. And he just went and excelled. I mean, and you got to think when you have a chip on your shoulder, you're not supposed to be there. You play a little relaxed game, But at the same time, he's Darrell Green. He's the fastest guy out there, and I think once he realized that, you couldn't tell him nothing.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell him nothing. But yeah,
Y'all had
man,
a
he is
fast
my.
room.
Oh yeah,
What
yeah. No,
You,
we
Deion,
Daryl?
Darrell Green. That's
now
crazy.
now they probably say different, but I was smoking both them jokers at that point. They were
Yeah.
they were old men by then. Deion was, I think, in his 12th year, and Darrell was probably in his, I think, 17th year at the time. And I was in my second year. So imagine, I was a
Yeah,
little springy back then. So,
yeah.
but
So
D
as
Green
far
could
as
still
that,
run, man. Yeah. And Deion had that toe thing. So, yeah, he didn't want no smoke.
as far as being in that room right there, like that's a room of a lot of personality.
Yeah, bro.
What's like what man? What's what like? Let us in on that room right there. Just as far as like, what was that like on a daily basis? Or like, what's the craziest story that you got as far as that room?
You know what's funny is it was more about our coach. Our coach was Ron Meeks. I don't know if y'all ever heard of him or met him. I think he's retired at this point. But every now and then Dion would fall asleep in the meeting, and boy, Meeks would be all over. And see, Meeks was a technician coach. One of my favorite coaches for me at that point in my career because he emphasized a part of the game, stand square. How to get your hands on people, but understanding that your feet is what mattered. All those things. That was sort of a re-emphasis on what Darrell Green was teaching me. But Darrell Green wasn't a press guy. This dude was a press type coach. And boy, he every time Dion would nod off, because Dion was the type you could be talking to him for 1 second, and next thing you know, his eyes closed. And boy, he would just be on Dion, and Dion would just act like he was awake the whole time. And then he would say, he would just say, yeah, yeah, yeah. He just ran the over. I just saw it. It just ran. Dog, the shit just used to have us dying because we all knew they was
He was
bullshitting
asleep.
each other. And I never forget if Dion got beat on a route, he'd just be like, "Why you keep rewinding that? We saw it. Go on past it. Because I don't know if you ever noticed, you go back and watch any highlight where Deion got beat in a game, you'll watch him fading back. Like, oh, he got it. He'll just let it go. Because he ain't trying to be in your highlight tape. So that was always his thing. So on that particular route I'm thinking of, it was a young guy that played in the league maybe 2 years. And he got Deion on a post. And Deion just kind of let it go. Because he saw the ball coming. Oh, I can't do nothing about that. I ain't about to be on this Joker highlight tape. And boy, the coach kept rewinding it and rewinding. Because he's trying to take stabs at him. Because they both got big egos. Dog, you got to think a whole year of that. Just back and forth. Deion sleep. This dude curse a lot. Deion don't curse at all. So they all getting on each other about what they saying, what they not saying. Dog, it was just filled with laughter, man. I learned a lot, but I also learned what you can get away with as a pro, as a proven pro. Like these guys taught me exactly what you can get away with, but also understanding you got to go do your job, go do your thing and take care of business. But man, I never forget those moments. That shaped my career. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So Champ, moving forward, from your career with the Redskins or Washington, you signed a mega deal with Denver, all the way out in the West Coast. Huge deal, and you went on to get many more Pro Bowls, many more All Pros. Tell me about that moment. Like, how did you feel personally, and what that moment meant to you?
Well, first, just to give you a little context here, I was franchised by Washington before I got traded. So I had to approve the trade before I signed the deal, because if I didn't like the team I was going to, I wouldn't have signed the franchise tag and they couldn't trade me. So At that point, the two teams on the table were the Jets and the Broncos. And the Jets were offering me a 6-year deal and the Broncos were offering me a 7-year deal. Now, I asked the Redskins at the time to pay me what the Broncos pay me. They looked at me and laughed, right? It was like, oh, you're not getting that. You're not, so they offered me some deal that wasn't right for the market. I think Ty Law at the time was the highest paid corner.
What was he getting?
And Ty Law signed a $50-something million deal at the time. It was like a 6-year deal, and 5 or 6 year deal. It had to be 6 year because it wasn't 10 mil yet. I don't think that happened until D'Angelo Hall went to the Raiders or something. But anyway, so they ended up. Denver was on the table. We showed the deal to Mike Shanahan. He was like, "Oh yeah, we'll sign you for that." Shit, I immediately signed that franchise tag and they traded me. Oh yeah, wasting no time, bro. So I signed it. I get what I was gonna get. They took the deal they offered me, gave it to Clinton Portis because he got traded. We was pretty much an even, well, not really an even trade, because the Broncos also got a 2nd-round pick along with me, which was a surprise. Shanahan said at the time, yeah, I just asked for it. I didn't think they'd give it to me. And, part of me was upset because Clinton Portis was leaving. But I was also excited because, I'm getting paid what I deserve. I'm the highest paid corner in the league. And I'm on a team that's always in playoff contention. And that's all I could ask for at the time. And, man, and the rest is history because, I had the time of my life while I was in Denver.
When you was, going through that phase, when you was going through that trade process, franchise tag, was that like your first realization of the business aspect of the NFL?
No,
like what business really means, or was it? Yeah.
It you know what, Pat? It was more like a process up to that point. Like I knew what they stood for, because you got to think I'm trying to re-sign my deal at least a year before that. So I'm going through negotiations, and the year I got drafted that summer, we changed ownerships. So I was never a Dan Snyder guy. I was drafted by the previous ownership. So when he bought the team, I was never his guy. He just took over. So the next year he drafted LeVar Arrington, Chris Samuels. Both those dudes re-upped before I did. Yeah, so the writing was on the wall. Like, okay, I'm just not one of his guys now. I've been to 3 straight Pro Bowls at the time, and went until my 4th Pro Bowl my last year, and then all of a sudden I can't get a deal that I deserve. So it was pretty clear And it was what it was. You know, I think it was the best thing happened in my career because I went to a franchise that valued me. There's nothing like going to another team when you're a veteran, but a young veteran where you can still practice hard and kind of show your leadership through your work. And
Yeah.
that's what I was able to do. Not like a 8, 9 year veteran where, you know, you're getting days off. No, I was out there with all the young guys, you know.
What year was that,
And
champ?
04,
Nah,
2004.
not like yeah, I was 1 year old. I mean, like what year? What player?
You mean what year of my career?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad. That was I was going into my 6th year, so I played 5 in Washington,
Yeah, okay.
and then I was going into my
Hey,
6th year, so I
champ,
was 26 at the time.
Yeah, champ, I was 1 year old, dog.
I forget who I'm talking to here.
Yeah, I was 1 year
Well,
old.
it's crazy.
Pat, how old you were? You was 5?
I was so far. I was like 4. I was 4 years old, bro.
Like 4? Yeah, 4.
That is
Just
crazy.
coming straight out the womb.
That is crazy.
Hey, Pat, I ain't start walking till like 12 months. I wasn't even walking.
But look what you're doing now. Look what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Honestly, champ, what is it like playing for a bad owner, and how does that affect players inside the building?
You know, when I look back, because I had 2 big differences, you know, in ownership. You know, you had that Dan Snyder regime, and then you had Pat Bowlen, who was everybody knew as one of the best owners in the league. It was just the way that they allow people to do their jobs. And it's really that simple. I think for the most part, everybody knew that he was a lifelong Redskin fan. Dan Snyder, I'm talking about. He was a young businessman. He was 35 when he bought the team. So understanding that, you know, he thought he knew what it took to win games. And he really didn't. I mean, none of us on the field really knew what it completely took, except the guys that had won, like Darrell Green and guys like that, Norv Turner, who was my coach at the time. Those are the guys that needed to be empowered to go win the games. But he had his hand in everything. Personnel decisions, coaching, quarterback decisions, all this, everything. So when you have an owner just sitting over your shoulder looking down on you like that and you know, scrutinizing your every move, I mean, you're probably not going to last too long. It's going to be hard to keep people in the building, good people anyway, and you're probably not going to bring good people in the building. So there was a lot of that in 5 years. I think in my 5 years, I had 3 head coaches, 4 head coaches, and I had 5 D coordinators. So it kind of tell you, you know, he was chasing something that he shouldn't have been chasing. And it was just, I mean, my 2nd year in the league, we get Deion. We also get Bruce Smith. We get all these, like, you know, these guys with these high accolades, but they were on the back end of their careers, you know. No, but rightfully so. I watched Bruce Smith break the sack record, you know, 200 sacks. So, you know, there was a lot of good that came from it because I learned from some great vets. And fortunate enough for me, I was able to be in a position where they looked at me as potentially a Hall of Famer or somebody that could kind of walk the path that they walked. But yeah, man, ownership is everything.